everybody, and welcome back to the 3.5 Book Club, the book club where we talk about all things 3.5 and 3.5 adjacent. I'm your host, Cliff, and today I'm joined with my buddy Charles. Charles, how you doing?
Hello, hello, doing good.
And Naasson. Naasson, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good myself.
Awesome possum. Lonnie is off this week. He'll be back next time, but for this week, it's going to be the three of us. And this week, we're going to be talking about the Expanded Psionics Handbook, which I'm pretty psyched about. I've been kind of wanting to break into this one for a very long time. So just to kind of touch base really quick, can you guys see my screen share that I'm doing?
Oh, I can.
Yep.
Okay, awesome, possum. So really quick, um, I just kind of like to ask you guys, what has been going on in in your gaming sphere recently? Like, what have you guys been doing?
Personally, I'm working on setting up Starfinder games. Always building new stories for stuff that I'm like, oh, that would be a good arc for a whole different set of characters that aren't existing in this moment. But it sounds really cool. The natural effect of things of building stories and then never actually fulfilling them. I'm trying to fulfill them by making more of them, and so I have all these endless stories I've been crafting for the last probably month or so.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you usually get around to them eventually. It might take 5 years, but like
Yeah,
you'll get to it
100%.
eventually.
It's I have like because I make so many starts to one and starts to different ones, and then I'm like that doesn't make any sense together. That doesn't they can all make sense together, but in my head they wouldn't make sense together. So I walk myself away from it. So like they can't have a fight in the ice cream shop with those characters. They have to be different. Anybody can fight in an ice cream shop. I fought in an
Yeah,
Applebee's.
yeah, all the time. I could get into Applebee's fights all the time.
Yeah, so like you can fight anywhere you want. I just my brain just doesn't let me do those things sometimes, and it's how it is. It's writing barriers. That's all about it.
Nah, I'm in that same boat. Charles, what have you been up to gaming wise?
Well, I am a game mastering a Pathfinder module, the Emerald Spiral, and we're just about wrapping it up. I have a bit of a epilogue in mind, but it was a lot of fun. Super dungeon. It's big dungeon crawl, and we had quite a lot of fun with it. Um, but it's finally wrapping up.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that game in the brief time that I was able to kind of pop in and be a player for a little while in it. Um, I I loved it. I thought it was great. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, that's is that an Owen Casey Stevens module or did he have something to do with writing it?
I'd have to look through each level of this particular dungeon was written by a different author.
Oh, okay,
Um,
yeah, maybe that's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, could they might have been. I'd have to check.
And Ed Greenwood did a floor, didn't he?
Yes, yes, he did one of the early floors, the second level. Yes, I like that level quite a bit.
Was
It's
that um was that the level where I rushed in and immediately died in the first round of combat, or was that the first the
that
first
was
level?
the first level where you charge in and
There you
were
go.
immediately killed.
And that's
Um,
how you got to do it sometimes.
yep,
That's actual. It is. It is.
yep. Run ahead where the rest of the party can't easily follow you alone in the dark, where you can't see further
Yep.
than 5 feet in front of you. Yep.
I mean that's it's not like this is a recurring trend or anything. Yeah.
No, no, not like you've died so many times in my campaigns when you're in them.
Oh, not just your campaigns, all kinds of
all
campaigns.
all the campaigns.
Usually in the first round of combat. So like so uh kind of jumping into the Psionics Handbook. Um, I really enjoyed reading this book, but I usually enjoy reading kind of any of the 3.5 books that we talk about. That's kind of why we do this. It's almost like being an archaeologist and kind of going back and looking at where a lot of the things that that we use now just kind of started. Um, but Nason, I wanted to kind of start with you because you have the most experience playing a Scion. So I wanted to just kind
Oh,
of get your general gist of what do you think about Psionic characters? Do you think they play well with other characters? Do you think they don't? Do you think
uh,
should you have all
so
Scions or no Scions? What do you think?
uh, so from coming to starting at the very first Scion I made, who was immediately extinguished with a book, followed by the numerous other Scions after that. They, I love playing a Scion. I think Scions are very enjoyable. I don't think they fit in every campaign, sadly. I feel like first thing that's I don't want to like preface that you shouldn't play a Scion like in any campaign. Play whatever you want, obviously, but Scions are something your DM has to be very aware of when you're going to play it because there's a lot that goes on with them. Like, it's not that there's like they're much different from like any other caster inside 3.5. They have a resource they spend. They have limitations. They have their own spell log of abilities and things they can cast. But they're so outlandish that somehow how some of them work. Um, I know there's spell gems that you can create, but like the Scion itself, making a lot of spell crystals, you can store about powers and power points. It gets a little murky and a little absurd, especially when you get to like some of the other classes in the extended handbooks, where you get like the Ardent, which is like a mind cleric, uh, the Psi Fighter, which fighter in 3.5. I have nothing against people who love fighters. Fighters are great, pick up all the feats you want, but there are a lot of good psionic abilities that stack on top of those feats when you're like gaining various abilities onto your weapons passively. Not even the normal fighter gets that. So like as soon as one person picks a scion, it kind of feels like everyone should pick a scion because it just there's a variant for everyone. And so like if you're in a group with a wizard, a rogue, a hunter, or a ranger, and then a scion and a brainmole attacks, the only person concerned is the scion. But then when a group of bandits attack, usually everybody else is probably going to be worried but the scion. It's a very weird situation it comes across because it's the things that are going to kill you are definitely going to be random things on a Tuesday afternoon,
Yep.
and not like the big bad or like these castle guards that surrounded you. You're probably good as a scion. You're gonna get out of that situation, whether you turn yourself over and then like sneaky mind self yourself out of jail, whatever you got to do, or you pop all their heads. Like always things you time travel back in time 10 minutes and be like, let's not go this way. Like there's a lot of fluttering of rules you can do as a scion, but then once again you're very squishy outside of the Psionic Warrior. You're very squishy most of the time. I don't think there's a Scion that's that strong outside of the fighter one, and I don't think they're as strong as like a normal fighter stat wise, like constitution wise, and everything else they get.
Yeah, one thing I do notice here is that, well, first you get all the psionic bonus feats, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But you don't get full base attack bonus.
No, no, But I think that's the trade off also that you get with because you get all these base passive abilities you get to add to your weapons that I mean are arguably better than attack bonus class. A class even attack bonus. You may not. When do you get a third attack for like a barbarian or a normal fighter? Is it 10?
A second attack would be 6th level, I believe, right?
It's sixth or
Correct.
seventh level. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
6, 11, and then 16.
Okay, so
Gotcha.
here instead of at 6th, you would get that second attack at 8th, and then you would have to wait until
15.
15th to get your third.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't think you'd have an issue with like attack bonuses, um, really, because I've kind of run into this issue in Starfinder specifically. If you take weapon focus, if you do this and that, if you look around for the different feats that give you like if you're a bard, there's one that lets you add your charisma to attack and damage. You can usually get your numbers up there, well enough, especially if you have a bard in the party to buff you or a clear casting bless or whatever. Um, but yeah, you are going to be behind on those, multiple attacks, definitely. Although I'd imagine there's probably some psionic abilities that give you like psionic haste or whatever.
There are, and I think that's where it says where the trade-off really happens because you get a lot of passive abilities where you can like buff your weapons or you get like increase your strength or do this other slow or haste, or good haste, 3.5 haste. So it's like uh,
Yeah, not
those are
not this
trade-offs.
like not this like you get a +1 to your AC and you can move faster.
Yeah, you can move 10 feet faster and you have a little bit harder to hit. They crit on me. It doesn't matter. They crit on me. It doesn't matter. And they have Sentinel. I don't even move. What are you talking about? Uh, yeah, I think that's kind of the trade-off, and I think it's a good trade-off because I think if they had the same attack bonus, it would be crazy, right? It'd be
It would be pretty OP.
like,
Which is kind of weird because even the Soul Knife, who doesn't get any spell casting at all, doesn't get any psionic abilities except for, the Soul Knife that they have. They
uh-huh.
don't have a full attack bonus either. I don't think there's a single class in this book that has a full attack bonus.
So I think so with playing a Soul Knife once, I can tell you they don't need the whole attack bonus because like that's another
I
thing about
agree.
those talents. Like I think it's level 11 is where this all falls. Like they get Blade Wind. So the Soul Knife being I want to say the rogue, quote unquote, character-ish of the Scions, it very much is the most AOE of all of the Scions you're going to get outside of like casting like a Psychic Fireball or something like that. Blade Wind covers an entire area. It will attack everyone pretty much within like your movement range. It's just blade. Where is the exact wording for Blade Wind down here?
Blade Wind. Let's see. Mind Blade. I love. I've said this before, but I love that like three of these abilities are have Mind Blade.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's like you have a Mind Blade. You have a
yeah. It's
Mind
like
Blade that you can throw. You have a Mind Blade that cannot be destroyed, or you have a Mind Blade that can be destroyed, but you can, as a free action, summon it again, so it's fine.
the more refined version of this Soul Knife is a Solarian. I'll put that out there. But well, that's another topic for another time. But on
Absolutely.
page 29 near the bottom is Blade Wind.
Greater weapon, Blade Wind. There we go. Okay. So at ninth level, the Soul Knife gains the ability to momentarily fragment his mind into numerous identical blades, each of which strikes at a nearby opponent. So full attack, you can basically just attack everybody.
Yeah, and so like you're getting
with your
like
full base tech bonus.
with your
Yep.
full base attack bonus. So like uh, like do you really need multiple attacks if you're going to be spending your full attack anyways? Your full turn to do that anyways? I don't know.
Not really,
It's
no.
it really becomes like a situational thing at that time because you're not spending psionic points. You don't have psionic points. So you're not spending anything to do that. It's just spending your turn to do that. It makes the soul knife seem a lot more valuable when you realize like when we get to power points later, or if you want to bring up power points is an awful resource. It's such a bad resource. I don't think I don't think it's as strong as the abilities you use to cast them are. I feel like they run out very quickly. Um,
Yeah,
enhanced.
that's something that I noticed here. Like if you even if you max out your power points, right? Um,
Uh-huh.
at first level, you're not going to have that much. So you could kind of plink, a couple different spells and keep them at level one, or you could, spend all your power points on one spell and make it super powerful. But then by the time you get to like sixth, seventh, eighth, 10th level, you're just going to be, you're going to have more power points than you need.
Yes, but the weird part about that is that if you think about the feats of like other spellcasters 3.5, where all your meta magic feats are actually feats, right? Where you actually have to pick them. So you have psionic feats that are like that also, which are like they alter psionics in a meta magic like fashion. But some meta magic abilities already have that. You can do that with power points. So be able to stack them on top of each other, they are very much like sorcery points, and that's awesome to be able to do. But I mean, levels like you said, level 9, you're looking at like with a high ability score. Let's say the 25. 25 is a pretty high ability score. Like 30 to 31 points. Let's look up what's in a spell. Time hop is a level 3 spell, and it takes 5 power points to cast it.
Yeah, you're gonna be
Yeah.
just fine. Even if you
Well,
like
yeah.
overclock it.
Well, yeah, but you can only cast that 5 times, right?
Yeah.
Because you only have 30 points. You're only able to cast that 5 times, and that's without any augmentations that it passively comes with.
Oh
That costs
yeah, yeah.
2 additional points, right? So it costs 2 additional points to do any of the augmentations on it. So up to 7 points if you want to add one of the 2 augmentations, 9 points to add all the augmentations. That means up to 3 times, and it's once again, if it fails, you lose the points also, like just like a
Ah,
spell, right? So you're talking about like you're losing a lot of resource, and then when you're done with it, it's gone. Like just like a sorcerer or a wizard, once your spells are gone, they're gone. They're gone for your day until they rest. A cleric can defend themselves. A lot of these scions don't have anything after that, right? Outside the fighter and the soul knife. Soul knife obviously can manifest their weapon without anything needed.
yeah, and
Uh,
that's the really cool thing about it.
I agree. I agree. I think there, and I never really dabbled into this, but the Scion itself, it you can put power points into crystals, and I think that's supposed to be like help you kind of like balance things out, where you're like, yeah, but I have all these crystals I can like crush and get resource out of it to like cast more psionic abilities. But I don't. I think using it, I don't know. That seems really second handy. Like you're going out of your way to just get more power points when there could have been like a smoother way for them to be invested into it. But of course that doesn't matter as much now because it just doesn't. But when you look at
Yeah.
these abilities, like I don't know what level. I'm sorry, I don't have you. Let me put that back up. Where was that PowerPoint system at the top where it showed all the PowerPoints? Was it on page like
Uh,
5? No,
something like
page
that. Let's
page
check.
18.
Oh, 18. Okay. No, I was right there. Cool.
And so if we look at a spell that's what level spells do you have at level 9? What level? Fourth level. So you can cast a fourth level ability at ninth level.
Okay. Okay.
So let's look at just the cost of a fourth level ability real quick, because I feel like these abilities, I think that it's kind of like the trade. Like I'm not saying it was a trade off. It was kind of the downtake of a lot of this. Is that I don't
Yeah,
know
you,
how to
you gotta
find
be you
these.
gotta be really specific
Yeah,
with
it makes
your
them
yeah.
very niche. Like if you become like if you're a Scion 3.5, you're definitely picking like a couple of abilities, and you're like, these are what I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to use these. And these are like I'm not going to really. And there's a lot of cool abilities you want to be able to spread out and use some of these, but it feels like all Scions are limited to the selection of this beautiful a la carte of abilities. Like yeah, pick 5, and that's the ones you're going to get. And you're like what? Like, but
Yeah, so it
okay.
so it looks here, and I've never actually played a Scion, so I didn't actually even think about this. But it looks like the PowerPoints are not standardized. Like it's not like, this is a level 1, it costs
Mm,
1 PowerPoint or it costs 5 or whatever. It looks like they cost different amounts of PowerPoints,
yep.
um, depending on how strong they are, and then you can obviously buff those with more PowerPoints as well.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. When you look at like that one you just passed, it said 17. That's a lot for like you're talking about having 30 points and almost using all of them, over half, to cast one ability. And then what do you do after that? I mean, what do you do after that?
And that is cool. So that kind of leads me into one ability that I wanted to talk about a little bit. And I'm going to go to page 41 and talk about this guy right here, body fuel. So if you're a Scion and you're having issues with not having enough power points, you can recover 2 PowerPoints by taking 1 point of ability burn damage. Now, the reason this kind of stood out to me is because I play and run a lot of Dungeon Crawl Classics, Mutant Crawl Classics, a lot of Goodman Game stuff, and spell burning, or in Mutant Crawl Classics, glow burning, is a core mechanic in that game. You burn stat points to get bonuses on different rolls. So I just thought that was really cool that you can, burn strength, dexterity, or constitution to recover power points. So that's just awesome. I don't know how fast it recovers. Recover points are added to your power points if you gained resting overnight. So I think they recover at the normal like 1 per day. But I don't know. It doesn't say. Might be a DM call.
Yeah, I'd have to assume it'd be the normal amount that you recover from resting, uh, or his own cast a lesser restoration or the like. That would,
Yeah.
of course, help. I noticed that one as well, and I thought was really interesting. And if I was making a psionic, I could see definitely taking this just in case I was I spent too many points too quickly, just to have some way to continue using that spellcaster or the psionic abilities.
Yeah, that's a real game changer. Like just imagine that scene, right? You're out of power points for the day. You thought the session was just about over and you guys were going to stop. Then your DM like throws another fight at you and you're like, "Oh man." And you just like spell burn down to 1 strength and get all these power points back and start like throwing psychic fireballs. Just be crazy.
That's
Yeah.
very amazing, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great like narrative kind of thing. I like the sacrificing yourself to increase your offensive power, kind of like fatigue after a barbarian's rage or the like. Um, yeah, big fan of that. It's narratively very very neat and something that you can only do if you get the feats and you have to weigh on the other options because this is a break in case of emergency kind of deal, and ideally you won't ever need to use this, so you kind of have to choose. Do you want to prepare for potential emergency that ideally won't happen, but for something that's worthless when you don't need it. I like that kind of balance.
Yeah, because like these characters, they're not DCC characters, right? You can't roll them up in 2 seconds. You have to craft this character, for a long time. And if they die, then you're just like, oh man, I'm out, an afternoon of work.
Uh,
So, Charles, was
Nason
it?
wouldn't know what that's about.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. No.
We do tend to die a lot.
Yeah, I was about to say I tend to throw myself into risky situations. So my question is that I didn't read that the very bottom of that ability. Did that say you can die from that, or can you not burn past?
Only living creatures can use this feat. You can take advantage of this only while in your own body, so you can't like mind switch somebody or which that'd be
That's
that.
genius.
Yeah,
That's genius. They thought about that. That's good
they got to put
stuff.
Yeah,
that in there.
I always love the extra details that these game managers put into feats or spells, because and like a lot of times I'm like, well, of course, it would be that way, but because players they're going to try these things and they're going to want an answer, and it's easier to point and say this is how it's written. It says exactly this.
Like
And
it says I can do it. It's like nope,
Well, my
nope.
question
Here it says you can't.
is there an undead race inside 3.5?
Yeah, I think there's a few. I can't really. What was it like the? No, it wasn't the mongrel folk. It was I'm sure there are. There's a
I
bunch of
mean,
races.
can they profit off of being a scion and use that? Because it says living creatures. I guess they still count as living creatures even though they're undead, right?
no,
I don't know.
undead are dead.
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess maybe if you're playing an undead character, this feat is closed to you. So if you're like a psychic lich, you're out of luck.
You're like, I give up my strength. You don't have any muscles left on your body. I
Yep.
know.
I give up my constitution. You don't have a constitution score.
Just let me do this.
It says you can't. So Charles, was there anything that you found in the book that like you were just really jonesing to talk about?
Oh, the monster section, but we'll get to that later.
The monster section is so crazy. Nason, was there anything else that you found that like you were really jonesing to talk about?
It's not in this specific handbook, but in the extended psionic handbook there is, which is because we're kind of in the class topic right now.
Mhm.
The ardent inside the extended psionic handbook is
Oh
absolutely insane.
yeah, that one I think is from the complete Scion, and that is a
Yes,
crazy. Oh man, I do not
mind
even know what to
mind
say about that book.
flares, because the problem I talk about being like, oh, you don't get enough abilities to use because you only have so many power points. The ardent completely bypasses that without that feat. Like you get them because of your faith, because you're kind of a cleric and your domain gives them to you. You get them for doing certain things inside of your based off of your domain. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, that
Like
that book, the complete Scion, is very much an insane book. It's it's weird to say this is like the balanced, codified version. But that one was released in 3.0, and not 3.5, and it was very much just like a mishmash of just all kinds of different stuff. You had stuff like different powers working off different stats. So you might roll up, a Scion, and you might pick this ability, right? Well, this ability goes off your strength, but this other one goes off your charisma. This one goes off your constitution, and this one goes off blah blah blah. So it was really weird. And you had this big issue back in third edition, and this happened all the time back in third edition, especially in like the Dungeon Master's Guide, where there would just be these like no save effects, right? They'd just be like,
this
you do
happens.
this, and if it hits, then this happens. Like, do they get a save? No.
Just hey, this is like that's the having no saves, which good or bad. Like I mean, not good or bad. Whether you're the good guys or the bad guys, whether you're the NPCs or the PCs, no save effects are they're just too good. Like they're just not like they should be used by legendary creatures at most a couple of times max.
Yeah. Oh, I do like this one. Opportunity power lets you make attacks of opportunity with your psionic abilities. So instead of like just stabbing somebody, you can just be like, mind thrust.
Yeah, see, I would love to get. Well, I've gotten more into the psionic crystals and all the psi crystals and the psionic meta psionic stuff. But it was just once again without being the fighter, you don't really get enough feats to really get to play around with these the way you would want them. And as a fighter, I don't know if you even really want some of these. Like, as a fighter, do you really want a bunch of meta magic feats, meta psionic feats that are like
Yeah, so like look at this one. Psionic Affinity, and I mean, third edition 3.5 was full of these, the ones that give you a +2 on, two skill checks, and that's all well and good, but feats are pretty rare. Do you really want to burn a feat on that?
yeah, that's the other thing, right? Like feats. I think a lot of the feats in 3.5 are very decent, if not kind of strong, and so like, like, I don't know. I don't feel like there's a psionic feat that itself is strong enough for me to take it over a general combat feat from the original handbook. Like, there's
Yeah, I
so
mean, a,
many.
a lot of those original combat feats were strong.
Exactly. Well, that's the problem, but they still existed in the same play group as these feats. And so when you're like, you can't make those other feats not exist. And so when you introduce these to the pool, and you're like, yeah, but you're a scion, and here's a list of psionic feats. You're like, yeah, but this general feat still trumps these feats by such a large amount. Outside the one that you spend your body for resource, it's getting more resource is always going to be a good thing for a class that needs a resource. But outside of that, a lot of these aren't that strong. Like
Yeah, yeah. So
this.
so check this one out over channel. While manifesting a power, you can increase your effective manifestor level by 1, but in doing so, you take 1d8 points of damage,
Uh-huh.
and so you're taking damage in order to do more, which I think is kind of um it's a running theme in this book. There's a lot of stuff that allows you to do that. Your soul knife, did that. He'd be rolling around doing all kinds of damage, but then he would get this backlash, and he'd get hit himself too.
Yeah, and see, and that ability is a one of those passive psionic abilities you can kind of put on your weapons that I think 4 or 5 of the classes get, and that's like you can double down on just hurting yourself as a scion. That's very plausible. Like, they just, well, but you don't really get to heal that much either. So I don't know if there's a really worth reason to like do that much damage to yourself.
Yeah. It's weird, but there's a bunch of cool stuff here. Like look at this psionic body. You get 2 hit points for each psionic feat you have. Kind of like
Hmm.
toughness, but you know, different.
See, those are the ones that like I think stack up well because once again, like a lot of the psionic abilities, if you don't, or they aren't instant use, they are hold a concentration effect. You're not going to want to get hit because you can drop your concentration. So there's too many options for that to happen. So all the passive ones where it's like the one where you said where it's like fortitude or whatever, where you get the extra health from it, that stacks on top of the original one on top of it. You can have so much health, just so much health for no reason.
Yeah, same. Look
Um,
at this one. Psionic dodge. It's dodge, but it stacks with dodge.
it does, but you also have to be concentrating, right? You have to be sonically focused to do all of these, most of these. You have to be
Yeah,
sonically focused,
yeah,
which
that
means
and
you have to
then
be concentrating.
yeah, so it can't be the first round of combat. You have to be like, in touch with your psionic stuff. You can't be flat-footed. So it's weird, but it's one of those things that I think if you were trying to do like a max AC type build, it might be something to look at.
Oh yeah, completely. Well, also the what is it? There is it's a psionic ability, and I forgot what it does. I
That narrows it
effectively,
down.
yeah, no. As soon as it hits me, ignore this. Go ahead. I'm speaking out loud. I saw it earlier when I was looking through something, and I forgot what it was already.
Uh,
Um,
scroll scroll up a little bit. I saw something that requires point blank shot. Again, everyone's favorite feat.
Oh, psionic
Uh,
psionic shot.
yeah, yeah. You must. That's a decent amount of extra damage.
Yeah, that's not bad. Plus 2d6.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So I think there's a couple of these. There's like psionic shot, which is for range, and psionic strike for melee. Psionic fist for your yeah. It's they got one for each weapon type. Psionic hole. I don't know what this is, but I'm intrigued. Manifest power, additional number of power points equal to your wisdom bonus. To do. Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. When a foe strikes you in melee combat, they immediately lose psionic focus.
I noticed when going through all these, there were a number of feats that really only activate if you're fighting other psionics.
yep.
Yeah, so I feel like if you're gonna like really take full advantage of this book, you want to be, you want to make a psychic campaign.
Yes, I think so as well.
And that I think that kind of wraps back around to the question you asked me at the start: is that do you feel like scions can fit into any campaign? And that's why I was like, not really, because the campaign kind of has to be like it kind of has to be conform to that. Like if there's no psionic creatures in it, either you're going to be really strong, or you're not, or you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of going back to another series of books that I'd like to talk about on the show sometime. The third edition Star Wars books, right?
Oh yeah.
There was this kind of uh idea going around back then, uh, where you really wanted to have like all Jedi or no Jedi, just because the power differential was so insane. Which I think Fantasy Flight Games really kind of fixed.
They
You know,
did.
yeah, I didn't run into anything like that when we were running Fantasy Flight Star Wars. We had Jedi and non-Jedi rolling around together, and they were
Yeah,
very
no, doesn't feel bad at all. Like that's what I'm saying. It's just when you add a scion into like, any campaign that isn't kind of like prepared for a scion to be there, the game immediately just feels like a little bit off. And it's nothing like the players or the DM did. It's nothing like anything like that. It's just the way they play in comparison to like the way the game runs without a scion or psionics existing in the world outside of them is just so weird to be like, well, I don't need to worry about any of these abilities because there's not going to be any science I come across. I don't need to worry about this ability because, no one's going to get close enough to me to do that. And you're like, oh, okay. I don't know. The level of scions that could be in a campaign, though, also, I mean, at what point do you just start adding everything that scions are weak to every time you go into combat? I mean,
Yeah,
you
you're
can't
like,
have brain moles or psionic killers. You can't have them in every single combat. You know what I mean?
just
Try
be
me.
like, well, guys, last week you fought a brain mole. This
Try
week
me.
you're fighting 2 brain moles.
This becomes like it's a group of like humanoid scion killers, but they're all just riding dire brain moles all the time. It's a whole country of them. Like what?
What do you won't do, huh? What do you won't do?
And after all the Scion characters die, mysteriously they stop showing up.
That's strange. They all went back home and never came back.
DM's like, I told you guys I didn't want to run a psionic game.
Oh.
No, everybody pick a wizard. No, this is cool. I like this. I would really like to go back sometime and do just kind of a even like a short game, just a completely like psionic focused game, and just kind of see what kind of shenanigans happen. Descriptor, is this a typo?
I think it is.
No way.
That's
Is
cool.
it?
Yeah, look at it.
Yeah.
It's just like
Ah!
descriptor,
We'll fill it in later.
adjective.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Okay, so what? Okay, appearing in the same line or a descriptor. Oh, wait, maybe it's not. The descriptors that apply to powers and that. Oh no. Okay, it's telling you. It's telling you
Why
about
is it
the
in
descriptor.
brackets?
I have no idea. It's like it's like the Magic the Gathering keywords.
Yeah.
It's like telling you what all those are. Okay.
Yeah, it's just funny they put the brackets around it because
Yeah.
it does look like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we'll give it the real name later.
Right.
Yeah,
It looks-
just put like an adjective in there, it'll be fine. Okay, so yeah, you got material, mental, olfactory, vision. This is complex, man. This gets into some crazy stuff. Manifesting time.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. Like there's so much that goes on into the back end of it that when you get to use an ability once or twice and you're like, so that's it, huh? You're like, yep, that's it. You're like, cool. Like
And that's
Which I'm
really
not-
gotta it's really gotta suck. Like if your DM's not playing along, you're like, I burn all my points and I use psionic focus to go 2 years into the future, and I do this, and this, and then I do the quest and blah blah blah, and then I get the thing and I come back, and your DM's just like, no.
Well, and luckily it doesn't get too far out of hand. Where I think the furthest you can go is like maybe like 10 minutes in the future or in the past, which is game changing. Period. Like any time travel is game changing. Period. But like it's not too far, but it's you would want to do it more than once if that was your kind of your niche thing you were trying to do. Like I want to time travel a little bit, even if it's only small increments of time. Doing it twice a day seems kind of not beneficial. Like it depends on the story you're also in, I guess. Because if you're like doing like a real espionage thing, that could be super beneficial just twice a day. But
Yeah.
in the situations that I'm accustomed to, you're never usually in like a single um, smooth combat and then get to rest. You know what I mean? Like usually it's usually a bad combat, maybe a smooth combat, and then there's some time and then maybe a rest. And so, there's exploration and some other stuff. And so you don't want to use up all your power points right at the start and then not know if you're going to have time to get any of them back.
Man,
Yeah,
if a player tried to like use the time reversal to like start combat over from the beginning to get like a slightly better result, I'd probably start, I'd probably make one guy who could like turn back time himself, just to get even on them.
Oh yeah. Oh, do the DC Flash thing where you make time remnants. Every time he does it, you make a
Yeah.
version of him that's evil that can also starts tracking him down until
Yes,
there's
yes, yes. I would. Yeah, I'd try to get some revenge
no 100.
somehow
I
because
agree.
that's just so much to. That's the main reason why I don't like time travel and tabletops in particular to start with. Like I like time themed stuff, but
Mhm.
things that actually put people forward or backwards in time, and actually just especially backwards in time. Moving forward, that's kind of fine. They bleep out a while, then go there, but giving that kind of power to players can
Yep.
really screw up the narrative of what's going on.
I, I think that's why it gives you the 10 minutes, but I agree with you that like being like, hey, we're 4 minutes into this combat. Let's go back 10 minutes before
Yeah,
combat happened because one of us is dying. Like I think it adds to the fun. I think it should be fleshed out better. Where like maybe you go like you and whoever goes back with you are still suffered under the same status effects they were when they left, just back to wherever location you were 10 minutes ago, but I don't know. Like I agree with you. I don't feel like you can give players time control. Like you can't give players time travel.
yeah,
Like
yeah, because then you have to like remember the state of the board. In 10 minutes, you could potentially be going back several combat encounters if they
oh,
like
100%.
if they really wanted to. And that's just you know that would just be a lot of work, and I'd probably ask the player who, like, if they want to pick that ability or learn that to pick that ability, just talk to them and say, please don't.
Yeah,
Um,
just please don't. Or like there has to well
please
and that's
don't.
I think that comes also the thought with scions is that like people see the scion stuff and they're like this can get out of hand very quickly. And it can. But I think at the end of the day, like it's that whole you got to realize you can do what you want as a DM. You can be like, yeah, but you go back 10 minutes and uh, you're there now with a version of yourself and your party members. Like every time they go back, they leave everybody else behind. It's like a new timeline. You just got to do something to fuck with them because
Yeah.
yeah, it's too powerful. It'll get out of hand. You can just restart combats. Somebody could fall off a bridge and you could like warn them, rewind time, and then rewarn.
Yeah,
Don't
it yeah, and it involve a lot of trust on the player. Like there's definitely players that you could trust to have that
Yeah.
power who would like,
Yeah.
but
I
it's still though.
Hmm.
I kind of feel like with that, like with you guys, I feel like I could do stuff like this. I could run a game that has stuff like this in it. But if I were playing with maybe randos on the internet, or if I was at a convention game or something like that, then I really wouldn't want to do that.
Oh
No,
no.
no, no way.
But I feel like if I were to put this stuff in a game that you guys were in, you would find some crazy stuff to do with it, and that would be a lot of fun.
Oh well, yeah. Well, and I think that's all that power limitation. I think also fills in once again. I keep coming back to the resource thing. You can't use it too many times per day. So if a player was using it too many times, you could just make the days longer. You know what I mean? Like they don't get their points back to keep doing it. Like you can kind of stretch it out, but
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
mean
I
we're
mean,
talking about, there's no limit on settings, right? I mean,
no.
you could put this on the plane of Limbo, where the Githyanki and the Githzerai are from. You could put it on a planet that has, you know, uh, 500-hour days. You could do all kinds of stuff.
Like, I mean, it's true though. That's kind of I think that's kind of the trade off of that, right? But also, once again, time travel's really broken to player hands.
Yeah,
But so it looks like I was incorrect earlier when I said that the uh, power levels are not standard. It looks like they are standard. So it looks like this one is what they cost. So at level 1, they cost 1. At level 5, they cost 9. Level 8, 15. And level 9, 17. So it looks like they are standard. But then you can bump them up, obviously. So
it
okay, go ahead.
I was going to say that PowerPoint system, it's a good, interesting idea. Kind of reminds me a bit of sorcerers who can cast spells on the fly. Only you have a total amount of points, so you could choose to cast a lot of very, a few very powerful spells, or a lot of low-level spells, or in this case, abilities, psionic powers. And I like the, general idea of that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of almost the 5e sorcerer. Uh, I played a 5e sorcerer for a little while in that Ravnica game that we did. And so you've got your spells, right? But then you've got a certain amount of sorcerer points, and you can use those to do stuff like bump up the damage of your spells, or recall a spell that you've already cast, or cast a spell as a reaction instead of an action. Just stuff like that. It kind of adds some flair to it.
Yeah, and that's neat and cool.
So like a lot of this stuff, I like it, but it's it's got a lot of just kind of fluff about psionic campaigns, which is all well and good. I'm not sure if I would necessarily use it, but it is kind of cool to look in here and look at all these ideas. Like, your first psionic character, gives you some motivations, some things that they might be doing. High psionics, low psionics, medium psionics, psionic maladies, psionic diseases. There's a lot of cool stuff. And then, of course, 3.5 artwork it's varied, but it's usually pretty awesome.
It's hands down amazing, is what it
Yeah.
is. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are bad ones, but like things like this is what make me want to keep playing like Scions. I'm like, this is awesome looking. This is awesome looking.
Yeah, look at this guy. She's like, all right, that looks like maybe a grafted weapon, or maybe this is like a psychic warrior who's got the weapon graft thing, and then you got this scion over here, and he's getting messed up because this illithid is like mind blasting him, and
Right, there's a.
I don't know what she's doing.
I remember there was a domain that's like a domain of like rejuvenation or recovery or something like that that the Ardent got. That where one of them was graft weapon to your, where you can just graft a weapon to your body. So I wonder if that is. I wonder if this is just a bunch of scions having a little scion dispute.
That is cool. I mean, just look at all this, like deja vu, ego protection, ego projection. Well, a lot of these go back to like a ego whip. That goes back to the original. That goes back to first edition. The first edition Scion that you had to randomly roll for to see
See,
if
like,
you got the psychic powers. Animal affinity.
and it shows you the powers of how much it costs next to it. So, right, like
No, I think that's just
the level
like
of
the
it.
no, I think that's just to tell you like how many there are. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Well,
9.
well, two
1, 2.
has
Oh
animal
wait, but
affinity.
no, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no, I think this is the power
yeah.
cost. I think this is
Oh
the power.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
scroll up, I think it tells you the power cost.
Nope,
Yeah.
yep, you are correct. Yep,
Yeah. Yep.
that is correct. Thought that was weird. They'd be like, all right, it's already in bold, so you don't really need, you don't need it, in numbers and bold.
And that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I guess the power cost isn't too bad on some of these. It kind of balances itself out when you look at like if you stack towards one to cast a bunch of abilities.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're set up like this, right? Because it's not like these are your first level powers, these are your second level powers, these are your, whatever. It's just like here's all the powers right there.
Yeah, so I mean, at level like 4 or 3 or 4, when you already have like when you have up to like 10 or 11 points, you can cast this level 9 ability. I guess is that right?
Maybe I'm not. I think there's a
I don't
cap
think
on it.
that's right.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
think
there's a
there's a
cap on
cap
it.
on one of the class on because I think somewhere in the class it tells you what level you can cast.
Yeah,
Yeah, that there's a
but
level and how many you can know.
Yeah.
but I know that there are feats that let you cast higher than you can
Mm.
currently cast, so you could probably bump that up a little bit. Psychic warrior powers, shaper. Oh man, shapers. I had a dude who played a shaper one time in a game, and they are insane. They can literally just create like anything. They just create uh, whatever they feel like, and it can get crazy. Okay, this is cool. You got them by level. So I do like the layout of this book, and that's something that I keep kind of coming back to is like the Starfighter books that I read now, or the the Pathfinder 2e books or the whatever. They're very much like they're still laid out this way. They're laid out the exact same way. Like nothing's really changed because it works.
Yeah. Why change something that works?
Some more of that awesome art right there.
Yeah,
It's
third
so
edition
good.
has some really good art.
What's this guy doing? He's disintegrating a troglodyte.
It just seems like a lot, like at point blank range. Like it seems like you could do it through an email. Like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah.
whoo, that's a lot.
Dude just walks up and is like, "Hey man, do you know where the disintegrate?"
The set are great.
Oh, what's happening? Oh man, yeah, they're getting exploded.
Yeah, it's energy ball. I was like, don't they have like a turn undead ability that's psionic? But energy ball works too. Hey, look at
Yep,
that picture says energy ball works just fine.
yep. Oh, energy cone, energy burst, energy blast, energy current,
Energy
energy
missile.
missile,
Yeah.
Jeez,
energy punch,
jeez.
energy push.
Yeah,
This
like
once
it's
again bring me to my point of not having enough PowerPoints to do all the cool stuff you want to do.
Yep,
yeah,
energy ray.
there are so many options. It's like taking like the spell section in the core books. It takes a large amount, and these powers are like that, and
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
just
look at that. We're
huge.
5 pages deep in just energy stuff.
Yeah, we're on E still.
Energy, 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 energy. All the way. Okay, entangled. Now we're finally out. We're finally out of the energies. Ethereal jaunt.
Yeah,
Ah, man. So, Charles, you were talking about the what was it, the temporal filter monster. So I remember the ethereal filter monster from the first monster manual, and I always wanted to put one of those in a game, but I never actually did because I could never really figure out uh number one what they are and like how I would use them and how it would act, and two, just like they were just so weird and alien that I was just like, I don't even know what to do with this. And that was just the ethereal ones. The ones in this book. Let me go down here to the monster section. Look at this guy. Look at him.
yes, it's that is a player killer. And no one wants to die to that.
No, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. He's on 1 foot. Um, yeah, he's challenge rating of 3. So, you know, in theory, though, you would never do this. Party of level 1s, could in theory take it down, but or
Oh,
it's supposed
I
to be
do
like
that.
within their range, but he gets so many attacks. I think it's 6 attacks when it does full attack. If it gets 2 claws attacks, it vanishes with the victim as it goes forward 7 minutes in time. So like your party member vanishes, and then maybe it's to 7 minutes. They might move on. It's like, yeah, your player is gone. Depending on how the game master plays up, the party could very well leave it, and then they teleport back, and they're the player character is dazed, and the monster gets to take another full attack. They also have a +7 initiative, which for a level 3 party, equivalent to the challenge rating, there's not many characters that are going to have a higher initiative than it. They could roll well, they could roll poorly, but just odds are, and this is an ambush predator too, so he could be attacking. He might be attacking the wizard, which have D4 hit dice in these older editions. And he is just, this is one of those monsters that have a high potential for killing a player character. That's much
Yeah.
more deadly than than it looks.
And he also has improved grab. So, I mean, at level 1 to 3, like, unless you took, the improved, like, combat maneuvers, feats, you're going to have a tough time.
And most players, from my experience from 3.5, also stayed away from anything involving grappling.
Yeah.
Because
yeah. Opposite here.
yeah.
We try to grapple everything. Things that weren't grappleable, we try to grapple them.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about third edition grapple all day, but it's a very well thought out system of events. It's just incredibly complex to do. Like even to this day, if I'm playing third and somebody grapples, I'm like, all right, I gotta go look up these rules. I gotta make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Which now isn't a big deal because we have SRDs, but back in the day, we didn't have that, so we just have to like bookmark that page. And one issue back in the day with us is that we didn't actually have a 3.5 Dungeon Master's Guide for years. We were using the 3.0 one, which is different and has different rules in it. So we were using a weird arbitrary mix of 3 and 3.5.
Yeah, it's the grappling 3.0, 3.5. It makes sense, the challenges and the penalties and what you're able to do and not able to do, and like the whole flow chart. But it's complicated, and might not know what you're supposed to roll against what. And yeah, every time grapplings came up, we've had to look up it when playing 3.5 from my experience. So I remember like new players thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to run up and grapple that, and then just that being the last time they ever tried to grapple something.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, if I were going to do that, if I were going to run a 3.5 game, I'd probably just use the Pathfinder rules for grappling.
Yeah, I'd either use the Pathfinder rules, or I would have the flowchart ready for when it happens and just have that on hand.
100%. I used to have a Dungeon Master screen that had it all on there, and that was super nice, super handy.
Yeah, that's the best part about Dungeon Master screens, not hiding your notes and stuff like that from the players, but just having a bunch of information. for me, a lot of it was like the swimming and drowning rules, because
I always seem to need those.
Yeah. Eventually, when you need them, you need a lot of them, and you need all of them. And yeah, the alternative is just trying to avoid water completely, but that's not going to happen. I like my water monsters.
Oh yeah, man, they're awesome. That like with grappling, it just gets so insane because if you're one of these characters that is able to pump your strength to ridiculous levels, then you can grapple crazy stuff. Like Naasson grappled like a colossal earth elemental one time towards the end of we must have been in like the high teens of levels. But still, like you can just grapple a colossal earth elemental. Just be like, hey.
It didn't help. I mean, it was still strong. It was still bigger than me. It's not like I picked it up or did anything. I just got a good grip on its body, and it was like, yep. I was like, okay, yep. That's how that works.
Yep, doing this.
You're not going anywhere.
It's like if a person was to be like a really strong person was to grab a building and be like, I'm grappling this building. The building doesn't care.
The world's strongest toddler grabbing your foot.
Exactly, and it's just like, oh man, I'm so strong, and I successfully grappled, and you're like, yeah, but it's a building still, and it doesn't care. Like it doesn't care what you're doing. I think that's one of the more elegant things about grapple in 3.5 is that it's like, yeah, you can grapple it, and you can succeed in that. But if you grapple a moving bus, the bus is still going to move you. Like, you're not stopping a moving bus like that. And I think it's super funny.
You're getting bull rushed.
Yeah, and
right?
This creature with this improved grab and everything like that, if it's grabbing a wizard, which would probably be its logical target, that wizard's not really going to be able to get out of there. Not likely. They're going to be in a lot of trouble.
That wizard is dead in the future.
Yeah, that wizard dead in the future. He might die that turn with the 1d6+1 multiple attacks.
Yeah, I mean, if you're level 1, like how many wizards are going to have more than 6 or 7 hit points max?
Yeah, and even if it's a level 3 wizard, it's still probably going to have fewer than 12 hit points. I want to say.
And I mean, geez, this guy can cast Psionic Dimension Door, and so he's an ambush predator, so he can cast Chameleon. He can cast Distract, so he can just do like a ghost sound over here, and you guys are like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, I'm just gonna sneak up and stab you 7 times." Dimension Door, Levitate, Wall Walker, so he has Spider Climb. Mental Barrier, so you can't like scry on him and be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna use Detect Life to see where he is." Nope. They thought about this guy.
Yeah,
They
this.
he looks like Mike Wachowski from Monsters Inc. We know this, right? I didn't want to be the only person that didn't say it, but like he's definitely
does.
like what everybody else sees is like, oh, like his little like eyeball thing, but what the humans actually see are like this diminutive creature popping out of the closet, like, ah, damn. Yeah, 7 minutes in the future is just their warehouse. That's all that it is, guys.
Taken into
It's
the warehouse.
it's wild to have a creature like my thought about 3.5 creatures I think are peak, right? I think they're the best version of how creatures have been in like D&D in general, but they're so crazy to have all these attacks and stats and then have the abilities they still have. Like the ones you listed off are crazy to be like, "Oh yeah, additionally, I have all of this." You're like, "Why?
Yeah,
Why do you have that?"
and his attack modifier isn't small either for a challenge range 6. It's a +6. At level 3, players like a heavily armored player like might have over 20 AC, but a wizard, if they have mage armor on and not shield, like they're looking at AC of probably about 16 or so, and this guy is rolling multiple attacks.
And he's got a 10-foot reach.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, 10-foot reach too. So if you try to back out of his range, uh, he gets the attack of opportunity of you, which as a wizard, oh man, this is a player killer. This is much stronger.
The next
than
time
he
we
seems.
run a 3.5 game, I am throwing one of these
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all of you. One per
58
person.
versus the like psionic characters might not match for a individual game. There's a lot of information about them, but for me as a game master, these are a lot of weird creatures, and I like throwing weird creatures at my players. Some unknowns every once in a while that does something strange that they aren't useful. They don't know what it's going to do. Um, that's that's very exciting. I probably wouldn't throw that one at a challenge rank 3 party unless I had a lot of faith in that group. But
Yeah.
I like weird, um, creepy things, and like above the puppeteers that are right above him.
There they are.
Yes, I love these guys. They're weak. They're really 1 hit point, but they charm people, and then they get that person to pick them up, and then they enthrall them, and then they have their mind controls. So you could have these things infiltrate a group that the party is on, like a ship, a boat, a town, whatever. And you can see the stories here. You can have like a kind of a Munus or the Thane, where you don't know who to trust, who could be under control. There's also the moral dilemma. These people are being controlled, and you could save them by destroying the puppeteer, but it could be more difficult. So there's there's a lot of story potential, and then they have the freaky version of Challenge Rank 2 right below it. That
That
guy with that routine, yeah, it's the 4-foot long leech, and the Flesh Hollower.
That's a Wrath of Khan worm right there.
It's
That's intense, is what that is.
yeah, it's only 4 foot long.
Only 4 feet.
If I saw an actual 4 foot long leech, that'd be quite intense.
Yeah, like only
but
4 feet. Excuse me, sir. Stop.
yeah, but that offers more physical threat, and this is something that you could throw. With the puppeteers, you can throw them at a low level party or a higher level party, and not much would change. The higher level characters, of course, would be very unlikely to be charmed themselves, but it's mostly the RP potential here, and then the story that you could use these leeches for.
Yeah, so like whether it's the filter or these leeches, like I'm already just coming up with dozens of ideas that you could use. Like the filter, it could start off being like a detective mystery. People are dying in these weird ways, and you got to go figure out what's happening. And this thing's just like there's no entry or exit marks on any of the houses, and these people are just seemingly unrelated, and you got to track it down and figure it out. With these guys, the puppeteers, I was kind of thinking earlier we were talking about that what was it, the thrall herd, the prestige class here.
Yes.
Like one of these could be the thrall herd, and he's just like he's got like a psionic artifact that makes his power way more, and he's just like psychically dominating hundreds of people and trying to turn them into like a hive mind.
Oh man, giving the puppeteer class levels, that's definitely something that players would not be expecting.
Yep.
And very easy to do in 3.5 to add class levels to any monster to increase its challenge.
And look at him, level adjustment 0.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, it went the other route, whereas I was like, the puppeteers, they're like, the whole city's covered with them, and you find out that like they're kind of keeping everybody calm and keeping everybody alive and healthy there. And you're just like, do you want to like break them away from this? Like, what if the puppeteers are the good ones, the good guys here in this city? That's where my mind went.
Yeah,
like,
that's Did you guys ever watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine?
No.
Really good show. But there's a race in that show called the Trill, and they're a joint race. So there's like the host and the not the parasite, but the symbiote, I guess. So
yeah.
They join together, and it's beneficial for both of them. So maybe maybe a society like that popped up. Maybe they're not all totally evil. They're just kind of in this symbiotic relationship.
Right? Does it say there? Do they have a alignment?
It's usually lawful evil. Usually lawful evil, which means not always lawful evil. So there would be room for that. Or you could meet one that's like, maybe you find a good or neutral one that's trying to like work against his evil brethren. That could be interesting.
That would be neat too. That would be
100%.
That'd be weird. Yeah.
So I mean, this book is just again, it's just full of stuff. There is no end to the level of shenanigans that you can get into. And look at this, like it has psionic grafts. So for any 3.5 monster, you can just make it psionic. You can have a psionic manticore. For some reason, you got these like proto illithids. If you just really wanted to mess with people,
that's perfect.
This one, I feel like this is kind of weird. Mind Flayer psionic. So a psionic mind flayer, that's kind of an oxymoron, right?
Oh, the reason with that is because the mind flayers were already released in a monster manual book, and that is changes you would make to build them up using the new psionic rules.
Hey, all right.
Yeah. That's why it's not a full stat block there. Those are yep.
That works for me. This Neolithid or Neothithid is freaking me out. 300 hit points, colossal.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. How awesome is that?
Yeah, that gotta kill you.
Yeah, like a lot of these weird psionic monsters, they're really cool to sometimes maybe throw out your players even if it's not a psionic game, just because the weird, creepy, unknown.
Yeah, I mean, there's mind
It's-
flayers everywhere.
Yeah, and everyone kind of knows I mean, it's one of those creatures that it's supposed to be weird, but it's became so iconic now. Everyone knows what they are and what their deal is.
100%. So okay, there's the half giant.
Yes,
He's
Oh,
he's
all
he's
that
angry.
psionic energy just radiating off that
A
picture.
big psionic energy.
yep, yeah. Half giants, natural psionics, and probably because I think the first time they showed up is Dark Sun, and everything in or maybe not everything, but a lot of stuff. Most things are psionic.
Most
in
things,
the
yeah,
Dark
pretty
Suns.
much everything is psionic in Dark Sun. We'll have to do an episode on Dark Sun sometime. We'll have to get Lonnie back here because he knows a lot about Dark Sun. He actually ran a really fun Dark Sun game for about 3 or 4 sessions. Really really brutal. It was crazy.
The stats on that character +6 to their dexterity. The up one, the
The Gazeri.
the Gazera. Like some of these the stats on these creatures, they're extremely high, but in this edition, folks, they're supposed to be balanced out by that level adjustment +2 over there. So even though it seems extremely powerful, if this thing's at level 1, the rest of the party should be at level 3.
Yeah, that's just for me. I've kind of in my old age just really gotten away from the super complex because like when we first started playing this game 20 some odd years ago, um, we had time to just look through these books for hours a day. We take the books to work with us.
Uh-huh.
We'd be on our lunch break looking through the books, and I'm like, dude, I don't have that kind of time now. So I don't want to be doing all this crazy math. I just want to play the game.
I don't want to be min-maxing. Like, let me just make it once and be over with it.
Yeah. I'm more interested nowadays in my character's personality and just how weird they're gonna be.
I think that's kind of just dabbling into other TTRPGs. I think that's kind of like the ones that are more verbal based and not as heavy on the dice. I feel like that's kind of where they shine because you're like, oh well, I get it. Like I get how like dice rolling and mechanics and all these numbers and stuff work and how they all fit into the greater picture. But also, I feel like we could just sit in a circle around a bonfire and probably just tell the story and have a collective story all together. Also, I
Yeah,
think it's kind of like
they've all got their place. There's something for everybody.
oh, go down to the beetle.
Was it the
Oh
the
man,
full Ugub?
they just decided to make something. They're like, we got to put a psionic beetle, a bug in here somewhere. They have no psionic bugs. What? We got to put one in here.
No level adjustment.
Randy said there's got to be 34 monsters, and we got 33.
I mean, it just has a sword and like, did a guy get turned into the bug? Like, did the bug just have
Let's
a sword and a purse?
let's find out. 6 foot long, 3 foot high beetle, so it's a big beetle. Uh, Protective carapace. They dissolve and eat crystals. Okay, so if you're a scion and you got all these like psionic crystals, it's gonna come over and eat them.
Yeah, the thing player characters always love facing enemies that can eat their gear.
That's the funniest thing. Rust monsters. I can't believe there's not
Yeah,
more rust monsters in games. I'm not gonna lie. They're just top tier.
yeah. I remember I threw a rust monster at you guys one time, and it was the saddest combat we've ever had because it was just like, oh, okay, well, there goes my there goes my
Yeah,
sword that I worked really hard for. That's fantastic.
it's crazy. It's crazy how fast equipment disappears. How fast your character's like, I can't defend myself out here all of a sudden. like,
Like what? I didn't bring a stick.
It's
you're like,
it's one of those monsters where like if you're up against him, like you might be better off throwing something down cheap for it to eat, like caltrops or something like that, and trying to avoid confrontation with it. Either that or you came prepared with like a staff or something like that, or you have your wizard go first. Just if you straight up fight them, if you fight them straight up, you're gonna have a sad time.
Just send the wizard in first. I don't know what
Yeah,
they
they're
know.
good.
I don't
Well,
know
yeah,
what
because
they know.
Nobody likes him
staff,
anyway.
no weapons, wearing no armor, and his D4 hit points. But the rest monsters, they're not that strong. They're not interested in meat.
All right. Well, nobody likes Randy, so just if we kill him enough, maybe he'll just leave.
I mean,
Talk to your players, guys.
Yeah.
just talk to your players. Like find a meeting ground somewhere in there.
Yeah, like I joke about killing players, but just talk with them.
just talk. Just let them figure it out. It's fine.
Yeah, I know. In my personal experience, you have never killed me. The rules and myself have killed me many times, but you have not.
Oh yes, in my old group in Illinois, they said that I was harsh but fair, and
Yeah,
that's why
that's
they
true.
liked me. That no one else wanted to dungeon master.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You just, I mean, sometimes it's like that. You start out with a new system and you're like, dude, I know I'm gonna have to DM this thing if I want to play it. So, oh, there he is, Brain Mole.
Ah!
Yes.
Brain Mole.
I love the fact that they're like, I mean, if you go back up to just the weird creatures, even the crystal scorpion, all these, like, it has extra eyes, the tree of faces, whatever that is. Like, you have all these crazy things, and you just have a mole. Like,
Yep.
nah, man, it's a mole. It's like, yeah, but it's a psionic mole. Yeah, but what makes it more psionic? No, it's in its head. It's a psionic mole. Like, what are you talking about? It's just a mole.
Yeah, I don't know what the color in the darkness. All right, it's just yeah, I don't even know what that is. Yeah,
I
just
would use that. I would use color and darkness.
just a mole. Just a
Just a
mole.
mole.
That's
Yeah,
all it
it's
is.
psychic mole.
Yep.
That they hunger for psychic energy.
And have like rabies, don't they? Don't they have rabies or like something like that? Like psionic rabies?
Sonic
They
rabies.
do.
That's awesome.
Cascade flu, they do.
They do. You're right.
Man.
Yeah. I'm terrified of brain moles. Like,
Yep.
brain moles are one of the things I'm like, if I play a scion, I know I'm going to cause a brain mole. Maybe I shouldn't do this.
I
should
seem
play
I seem
something
to
else.
remember I seem to remember threatening you with brain moles a lot back in the day, but never actually pulling one
Yeah, well,
on you.
because first we were like introduced to scions, and I was like, oh, I'm 100% doing this, and then my greed got the best of me, and a book killed me, and then no wait, that was my barbarian.
No, that was
what
the
killed?
Scion.
Oh, that was a scion. But yeah, so the book of not evil darkness.
Yeah,
What's
Book
it
of Vile
called?
Darkness.
Book of Vile Darkness killed me, and then the second scion, I don't know what happened to them. And then the most recent Scion, the road he went through, he probably wished death upon himself, but it just never came quick enough.
He might
There
still
was
be out there.
one,
He's probably still out
he
there.
might, he probably is still out there, but like he got turned into a plant. He's he jumped off buildings and got hit down, like just knocked all out of the air like a fly. He got beat up by a wraith in a hallway. Like he was like, I'm so strong. His wraith's like, give me one health, give me one strength, give me one strength, give me one strength. And I'm like, I can't lift my weapons. Someone drag me out of here.
Oh man,
That was amazing.
That character. Yeah.
I loved it. Like I do. I love my character's personality.
I did too. That was a really really good game. So we'll have to talk about that game sometime because that game went from a 3.5 game to a Starfinder game, and I don't even know where it's going to go from
there.
But
Well,
it'll go somewhere.
We got some ideas.
You got this weird goblin.
Yeah, I got some ideas. I got some ideas.
Well, I mean, that's basically all I've got. Is there anything that you guys really wanted to touch on before we kind of start winding down?
I think a large reason that psionics aren't used in 3.5, not 3.5, in 5e as much are because of the connotation of people thinking they were really overpowered. But that's because I think at the time of 3.5's existence, the internet wasn't as big as it was, and tabletops were big, but they weren't as big as they are, and so people weren't trying to min-max everything, and so the few handful of min-maxers ruined psionics for the future of tabletops. Like other things use it, but like 5e doesn't use psionics the way 3.5 did, and I feel like they're missing out on a large section of just fun stuff that could have got like fine tuned, like just so fine tuned. You just have it here. You
Yeah,
already have it. You have it here. Like
you
you have it
know,
right in front of you.
you know what I feel like this would be interesting. Speaking of psionics and going back in time and forward in time, back when we first started playing, there wasn't all this YouTube D&D, Twitch streaming D&D, Critical Role, all this other stuff. Um, it would have been interesting. Like, what if that stuff had been around back then? What would that have been like? What would have happened if all that massive popularity that came along with 5e had happened in the 3.5 era instead?
I don't think people would have gotten onto. I don't think people have gotten into 3.5 the way they got into 5e.
You,
I
you're
think
probably
five.
correct. Yeah,
I think 5e, for all the
It's a
things that it
broad
is,
net.
that I don't like. It's very simplistic. It's very broad. It's made for people just to hop in and learn, and that's great. Like, I think that's awesome. But yeah, if I think it was back 3.5 middle of this where they're like, hey, there's 16 books on races out here. like,
so
I
there's
would
the
open.
16 on races. Then there's like you had those weird like song and silence and all
I would
that, like the black and white ones.
I would like to see someone playing a high level 3.5 campaign as a Luminarian Scion, and then tell me the game's still fun, right? Like, because I want to play high level campaigns, but like that's you're
Yeah.
talking about math on a different level.
Well,
You're talking about.
I remember a long time ago. I came back. I think I had been in the Philippines for a long time, and I came back, and we were like, "Hey, let's play a game," and we were going to pick up where we left off. So we all got our character sheets, and one of the characters couldn't find his character sheet. It wasn't in the packet. So he started from scratch trying to build an 18th level wizard, and we were just like, dude, that we do not have this kind of time. This is not,
Yeah, like you'll be done next week. You'll be
yeah,
like you understand the investment you're trying to do. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the books that we had, all the things. There's no way anyone without having like an SRD or be able to search on the internet. There's no way you could compile all that and have a good time without having like even in book form, it would have been a headache, right? Like you're talking about trying to make a level 18 character one person. Try five people looking through 18 different books for something. We've been there. We've been,
yeah. It's
like
like, I
we know
mean,
where's Great Cleave, guys? We know it's in here. Supreme Cleave. It's in a
yep.
barbarian ability. We know it exists. It's
Which
somewhere
which
in
book
here.
which book is it in? I mean, this is literally a game system that had the rules compendium, the spell compendium, the magic item compendium, that all these compendiums that were just the rules compendium. It's just rules. It's
Hmm.
just rules in errata. That's all it is. And I can't think of another game system that would have needed something like that.
Well, I think that's kind of where the internet steps in because then it kind of like they were able to like update things as they go on. I know Dungeons and Dragons 1 or whatever they decide to land on as a name, or the newer edition that they're going to come out with is supposed to be their final edition, quote unquote, because it's supposed to be an updatable edition that they're just going to add the updates. If they're going to add new classes or going to change stuff to a class, they're just going to do it to the live version, and so it'll just be constantly updated, which is an okay concept until you realize like that means every year people are going to have to relearn D&D.
Yeah, I mean
That's
that's
not.
that's kind of what they did with well it is and it isn't, but that's a little bit what they did with second edition. I mean second edition was going on from like I don't have the exact years. It was like the late 70s until 1999. Um and it would just all these errata books would come out and it would be like, okay, well, and that's actually where proto feats came from. Like towards the end of second edition, you were getting these errata books that were like, well, you can take this feat with your character and it'll give you, specific things. And you had like all the non-combat proficiencies and you had all this other stuff. So it was really morphing into this different beast. And then so, third edition was just like, okay, let's just, cut the BS and let's just make it what it's becoming.
And I think that's kind of like funny because with now the popularity of it, the things like all the popularity of like tabletops and stuff like that and access to them, I feel like now it's like like bell bottoms coming back. People will want that though now, right? Like people are like, oh, 5e is good, but it could be bigger. And so like people are like, oh, that's why people are reaching out to like Pathfinder and Genesis and these other ones because they want that more in-depth, crunchy system. And I think that's kind of like awesome in its own way because they had to like simplify it to make it better, and I hope that's the route it goes. Knock on wood, let's see where that goes. But like 3.5 is like a milestone of itself, right? Like you get to set up this marker of being like, this is what you should build it off. Like if you feel like you're going wrong D&D with sixth edition or whatever you decide to do, go back to 3.5 and go from there again, because it's just such a good point of like, here's information, here's like concepts that can just branch off into many other concepts. It's just there for you already.
Yeah, wasn't third edition the edition that came up with AC instead of THACO?
It came up with ascending AC instead of descending
Instead of
AC.
algebra.
Yeah.
That
Which
of algebra.
And like you can say what you want about THACO. I don't love it or hate it, but I do like the D20 system a lot more. And I said this way back in the first episode that we ever did of this podcast. The D20 system is roll a 20-sided die, add or subtract relevant modifiers, compare those modifiers to a DC. Bam.
Yep.
That's it. That's the whole thing. You don't have to do anything else.
Yep. And the math percentage wise is easy to figure out. Each number 5%.
Which really I think is why it stood the test of time so much. I mean, this game came out in 2000, and later on this year, Starfinder Second Edition is coming out, which is really the last. I kind of feel like that's like the Starfinder has been the last 3.5 era kind of style game, because like Starfinder Second Edition is going to be more in line with Pathfinder Second Edition, using the orc license and all that, and that's totally fine with me. But this game system has been around for 20 years, 20 or 24 years at this point. And people are still playing it. People are still playing modern versions of it. People are still playing old versions of it. It's a good system.
Yeah, it is, and I will say that it's definitely easier. What you mentioned, that person do it, making it 18th level wizard, starting from scratch. That's rough. And when you look at these numbers, you might get of higher level characters, everything like that, you might get overwhelmed. But most games are supposed to, ideally, especially for new players, you should be starting at the lower levels, and you're going to be learning, gain these abilities over time and learning how to use your character over time. Very few people, people do it, but you don't run just 20th level characters out of nowhere unless everyone
Definitely not 3.5
knows.
characters. All right, guys.
Yeah,
we're gonna play a game tomorrow. I need both of you to have 25th level scions rolled up by then.
Oh.
Good luck.
Scion Gestalt characters, guys.
Gestalt scions.
They have to be two different kind of scions.
Oh no, or a scion plus another class either.
It has to be a caster class. So you have spell list and your psionic list. I need them separate.
That would be the most insane thing in the world.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So, Naasson and Charles, any final thoughts before we bust out for today?
When introducing a scion to your game, whether you're the player or the DM, you should be mindful. See what I did there?
Ow,
that was good.
Truer words were never spoken.
Yes, there is a lot here. Game masters shouldn't feel obligated to, just allow scions, no matter what, especially if they're unfamiliar with it. But they do fit a lot of settings very well. If you're trying, I can see, doing Underdark or Dark Suns or just anything where you like psionics. Maybe you don't use spells and you're using psionic powers instead. Maybe there's no regular magic, and there's a lot of cool things that you can use here.
I'm in complete agreement. And, once again, we've been talking for an hour and a half, and I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of, a lot of the stuff that we really could go on to discuss. So who knows? There might be, an expanded psionics episode part 2. But for today, I think that's going to be where we end. And once again, for the D&D 3.5 book club, I've been Cliff. Today, I've been joined with Naasson and Charles, two longtime veterans of 3.5 and other gaming systems. And I think that's going to do it for today. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like us to cover next, just go ahead and leave it down in the comments, and we'll get to it. Signing off.
Bye. That was awesome.